What we have here is a 1964 MGB, a really nice one too. Unfortunately, the owner has gotten to the point in his life, for health reasons, he cannot keep it no longer. Hasn't been able to drive it for about 2 years, and we've been tasked with selling it for him. And he tried to get it running the other day with his son-in-law, and it would not start. Rather than diagnosing it over there, we just pick up the trailer, get it over here, and we're going to diagnose it, see why it's not running. I already think I know what the problem is, and make sure everything's good to go for the new owner. And we do have one guy already interested in it. We'll see what he says when he comes to look at it. But unfortunately, this guy is a really nice guy. He was a great custodian of the car, kept meticulous records, and took really good care of it. He just simply can't keep it anymore due to health problems and downsizing, which is unfortunately getting all too common these days. So now that we got it in the shop, let's take a little closer look at it. This is the classic tartan red wire wheel and black interior. Now these things could have had white piping or red. This particular one has the red piping. Whether it was originally red or white, I don't know. But it has the fender mirrors on it, and the windshield frame has been polished. Has the bimini top, which became all the rage around here a few years back. Everybody seemed to have them. They look a little goofy, I think, but it's really nice driving in hot weather like that. Plenty of airflow, keeps the sun off your head. And he's got the Stay Fast tonneau cover here, which is, I think, brand new, and only been put on it fairly recently. Now it does have a wood steering wheel rather than the original. And I think it's got 90,000 miles, what was it, 90,743, something like that on it. Presents really nicely. The whole car actually presents real nice. Now, yes, the bumpers are replacement bumpers, not re-chromes. You can always tell by the very end here, the shape. The original ones came down and was more flat across here. They did more to stamp them and push this in, where the reproductions didn't. So here in the boot, it has had a carpet kit installed. Not original, but a lot of people really like to have that. If at the very least, it keeps things from knocking around in here and making noises. But it looks nice too. We got our top, and really nice looking top frame, and probably a reproduction cover here. Got a really nice jack. Might be a reproduction in itself, as nice as it is. Got a rubber mallet for the knockoffs, but he's also got University Motors wheel wrench here. This is one of the ones I use here in the shop, actually. Or I use one just like it, I mean. We got our spare wheel and a couple little tools, and he said everything goes with it. And then got the obligatory fire extinguisher. You have to have them with you at most car shows around here in the U.S. And of course, this side of the car is just as nice as the other side. Now we'll look under the bonnet. So being a 64, it is a pull handle car, and I believe it's a first half 64 because it still has the 3 main bearing engine in it. It's an 18 GA engine, which I don't know if it's going to focus here or not, but yeah, 18 GA engine. And the rest of the engine compartment here looks really, really nice. It was restored to a pretty high standard. Some of the details are things people would like, some maybe they wouldn't like, but it was done pretty well, and even still retains the little tag here that sometimes comes up missing during restorations. So now let's look underneath the car, and yes, it is done pretty well underside as well. One of the few things that let this car down underneath is the fact that at some point after the restoration, somebody tried to jack it up right here with one of the little small, like 10.5 jacks, and they put it right here, and it started bending, and then they realized they screwed up. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but it doesn't really affect the car that much. Just one of those unfortunate little details. But yeah, it's got a nice stainless exhaust system on it. And it did have floors put in it during the restoration. These are new replacement floors, and they did not weld the hardware in, which is one of those details that is actually a very common thing. That they don't think about that until they go to bolt the seats in. Then it's like, whoops, and then they end up welding all the way through. And fewer cars have that done properly than don't, and that I've seen. But at one point in time, we had pulled this transmission out and had it rebuilt, because that was one of the few things that didn't happen to this thing during the restoration. And he did have an issue with the transmission. I just don't remember what it was. I think it might have just been lay shaft bearings, maybe. That's most common potential issue anyway on these. But then we had a small persistent leak right here at the speedometer drive that we never quite got sorted out until I replaced this housing with another housing I had laying here. They are plastic, they can warp a little bit, and that one was warped. The old one was warped, and it just kept leaking just a little bit. But it is done pretty well all the way through underneath here. So yeah, it's a really, really nice car. Overall, I don't think it was ever that rusty, and it didn't need that much welding, because much of the rocker and stuff does have the spot welds that you'd expect to see if it was factory, and that you don't often see if it's not. So now, yes, this area here had obviously been replaced, because you don't see the spot welds there, and this hole is there on the aftermarket ones, but not on factory ones. That's how they hang them to prime them. But other than that, I don't think this was a bad car. It was in good condition overall, other than just some minor rust here and in the floors. So it was never had a ton of welding done to it. So I had actually been taking care of this car for roughly 6 or 8 years, something like that. And one of the only real problems we ever really had with this car, other than the transmission issue, was the guy that owned it just didn't have strong hands. And when he tightened things up, not everything was as tight as he thought it was. And we ended up with a generator pulley came loose. And after that, I went through the whole whole suspension here and tightened everything. Found a few bolts that weren't as tight as they needed to be. And, you know, we fixed all that. And he hadn't really had any issues with it. So once we had done the transmission rebuild and found the loose pulley and done a full nut and bolt on this thing, all it really ever needed was the carbs. The needles and seats would stick once in a while because they weren't Viton tips. I stripped them down, put some Viton tip needles and seats in them, put it all back together, and ever since then, it's literally just been oil changes and just regular basic maintenance, nothing else. Car's been a very good car to him. He's enjoyed it, has taken extremely good care of it. But like I said, unfortunately, he just can't keep it anymore. So why is it here? Well, he tried to get it in, he tried to start it here this spring after not running it for approximately 2 years now because of health issues. Cranked it over, wouldn't start. So he thought maybe he just had old gas, put some fresh gas in it, and then he tried to use a little bit of ether in there, and it just would not fire. Now the fact that he used ether and it wouldn't fire tells me that more than likely we have no spark. So I'm guessing that either this sports coil here either died or just we have 30 points, and that's the more likely. But there was a few years here where these coils were a bit sketchy and they would randomly die on you. That's just the only reason why I suspect that is a potential issue. And it also has had a spin-on oil filter conversion. Okay, so we got our spark checker on number 1 cylinder. Key on. Nice thing with these, we can push button here on the solenoid. Oh, we do have spark. I wasn't sure if we was going to have spark there, so maybe we can eliminate that as a problem. So now when you are trying to use ether to start it like he was, and you're trying to spray it down inside here and here, that's kind of hard to do. And it's a lot easier, or at least for diagnostic purposes. Go ahead and get the air cleaners off so we can get it down into the throats of the carburetors rather than it all just hanging up in the filters. Since we do actually have a spark, before we actually use anything to help start it, I'm just going to make sure, turn the key back on, yeah, it's on, that the choke, using the choker. All right, we got nothing there. So we can go ahead and pull this up, get a little bit of something down in each of these, see if anything happens. All right, we're not getting fuel. So maybe the jets are a bit plugged or the needles and seats are stuck closed after sitting for that long. So we'll have to dig into that and take a look. Okay, got the screws out. Let's see if we got anything in the footwalls. Empty. Empty. All right, so we got a fuel delivery issue. I'll go ahead and clean the needles and seats, put them back in, and see if we can actually get any fuel into these things. So I guess my memory isn't as good as it used to be. I didn't put Viton tip needles and seats in it. It's got the old gross jets in it, which I think was in it with the restoration, but I think I had changed out the lids because there was something wrong with one of the lids, or it was just the wrong stuff, and we just set it up with all the right bits so it looked more correct, but retained the gross jets. I do not like these personally myself because of just these kinds of issues, just like they are, just like we're having here. Depending on when these were made, after the original designer sold the company, they haven't quite been as good as when they owned them. All right, so I cleaned them up a little bit, and yes, they were continuing to want to stick, at least the one was. So we will probably have to replace those with something else. One thing about those, they're a double ball setup, and the additives in today's fuel can coat the ball and make it sticky and make it have a problem with sticking, which is interesting because the whole point of the gross jets is to prevent sticking. But, well, now I can hear the fuel pump moving more fuel. Now, is both of them full? Well, let's try it. All right, well, looks like we're going to have to probably change out the jets, needles and seats for actual Viton tip needles and seats to make them more reliable. and run it long enough to get some of the old fuel out of the lines, and just kind of go over it, make sure everything's good to go and it's running properly for the new owner, whoever that ends up being.